Hello everybody, how is your day going, guys? Hurry up, every respected member. Let's join to the today live session, guys. Tapping the screen and share the live. Hurry up, guys. Let's write your name. Hurry up, everybody. Have to like the screen, guys. Hi, Samreen. Hi, cutie. How are you, dear Samreen? Thank you for your joining, pretty Samreen. How are you? How is your day going there? Thank you for your joining, dear Samreen. Having a lot of love and respect for your joining, pretty. I wanna writing your name, dear Samreen. Hi, Samreen. How are you, pretty Samreen? Thank you for your joining, pretty Samreen. Everybody, let's write your name in the chat, guys. Hurry up, guys. Hurry up to write your name in the chat. I have a lot of love and respect for your joining. And also you should have to increase the likes, guys. Everybody have to write your name in the chat, guys. Thank you for your joining, dear Samreen. Please, guys, increase the likes and write your name in the chat, guys. Hurry up. What happened, Samreen? Hurry up, guys. Hurry up to increase the likes and write your name in the chat. Pretty, how are you, dear Pretty? How are you, Pretty? Thank you so much for your joining, dear Pretty. Lolly, how are you, dear Lolly? How are you, Lolly? Harry, how are you, dear Harry? Thank you for your joining, respected Harry. Please, everybody, to write your name in the chat, guys. Emma, how are you, dear Emma? How are you, Emma? Pretty Lannis, how are you, dear Lannis? How are you, respected Lannis? How are you, dear Lannis? Thank you for your joining, respected Lannis. Ratik, how are you, dear Ratik? Thank you so much for your joining, respected Ratik. Thank you for your joining. Amber, how are you, dear Amber? Thank you so much for your joining. Ava, how are you, dear Ava? Carol, how are you, dear Carol? Thank you so much for your joining, respected Carol. Laura, how are you, dear Laura? Thank you so much for your joining, respected Laura. Please, everybody, comment your name, guys. Thank you for your joining. Linus, here is your name. Looks that, my dear. Lennis, I write your name right here. Let me write the Gabriel, okay? Let me write Gabriel. Gabriel, how are you, Gabriel? Ines, okay, oh my god. Okay, dear. Sophia, how are you, dear Sophia? Thank you for your joining, dear Sophia. Anis, how are you, dear Anis? How are you, dear Anis? Thank you so much for your joining, respected Anis. Sophia, how are you, pretty Sophia? Harry, how are you, dear Harry? Everybody, write your name in the chat, guys. To do the super chat, send the laughing disco for the support, guys. Have to separate the love and the suffering. Enes Gabriel, okay, dear. Thank you for your joining, dear Enes Gabriel. Thank you. Bean, how are you, dear Bean? Thank you so much for your joining. Jessica, how are you, dear Jessica? Thank you so much for your joining, Jessica. Hurry up, guys, everybody, to write your name in the chat, guys. Calvin, how are you, dear Calvin? How are you, respected Calvin? Thank you so much for your joining. Talha, how are you, dear Talha? How are you, Talha? Thank you so much for your joining, respected Talha. Calvin, here is your name, my dear. Thank you for your joining. Aris, how are you, dear Aris? Thank you so much for your joining, respected Aris. Please, everybody, write your name in the chat. Afzal, how are you, dear Afzal? How are you, Afzal? Thank you for your joining. Hamza, how are you, dear Hamza? Thank you so much for your joining, respected Hamza. How are you, dear Hamza? Thank you for your joining, respected Hamza. Please, everybody, have to write your name in the chat, guys. Sabine, how are you, dear Sabine? How are you, Sabine? Thank you so much for your joining, respected Sabine. Bill, how are you, dear Bill? Thank you so much for your joining, dear Bill. How are you, Bill? Thank you for your joining. Vinish, how are you, dear Vinish? Thank you so much for your joining, dear Vinish. Please, everybody, to write your name in the chat, guys. Larry, how are you, dear Larry? Thank you so much for your joining, respected Rani. Larry, any person can send the laughing disco or do the super chat, guys. Leona, how are you, dear Leona? Sarah, how are you, dear Sarah? Thank you so much for your joining, respected Sarah. Please, everybody, to write your name in the chat. How are you, dear Sarah? Miram, how are you, Miram? How are you, Miram? Hurry up, guys. Catligo, how are you, dear Catligo? How are you, Catligo? Thank you for your joining, Catligo. How are you, dear Catligo? Tajish, how are you, dear Tajish? Tijesh, how are you, Tijesh? How are you, Tijesh? Thank you so much for your joining, dear Tijesh. Thank you for your joining, respected Tijesh. Amira, how are you, dear Amira? How are you, respected Amira? Please, everybody, to write your name in the chat, guys. Send the laughing disco, do the super chat, guys. Hi, Linus. How are you, dear Linus? Maxi, how are you, dear Maxi? Thank you so much for your joining, respected Maxi. Please, everybody, to write your name in the chat, guys. Danny, how are you, dear Danny? Thank you so much for your joining, dear Danny. Lilia, how are you, dear Lala? How are you, Lala? Any person can send the laughing disco, guys, or do the super chat. And Lala, how are you, dear Lala? Aisa, how are you, dear Aisa? How are you, Aisa? Thank you for your joining, dear Aisa. Bambi, how are you, dear Bambi? Thank you so much for your joining, respected Bambi. Mila, hi Mila, how are you, pretty Mila? How are you, dear Mila? Thank you so much for your joining, respected Mila. Awali, how are you, dear Awali? How are you, Awali? Thank you so much for your joining, dear Awali. Thank you, Gabriel. Thank you. Anybody can do the super chat for the support, guys, or send the laughing disco. Hurry up, guys. Florin, hi, dear Florin. Hi, Florin. How are you, dear Florin? Thank you so much for your joining. Thai, how are you, Thai? Rahul, how are you, dear Rahul? Emma, how are you, dear Emma? How are you, Emma? Thank you so much for your joining, respected Emma. Please, everybody, to write your name in the chat, guys. Elon, how are you, dear Elon? How are you, Elon? Please, guys. Okay, my dear. Leona, how are you, dear Leona? Thank you for your joining, respected Leona. Hurry up guys, write your name in the chat. Having a lots of love and respect for you joining guys. Every respected member, do like and subscribe to the channel guys. Any person can send the laughing disco guys. Hi Calvin, how are you dear Calvin? Thank you so much for you joining, respected Calvin. How are you my lovely brother? How are you dear Calvin? Hi Hassan, how are you dear Hassan? Annie, how are you dear Annie? Please guys, any person is here to send a laughing disco. Any person is here? Petit, how are you Petit? How are you respected Petit? Khadija, hi dear Khadija. Any person is here to send a laughing disco or do the super chat guys.